Welcome to the Religiously Offensive Podcast.
So I kind of want to start some of these out with like something absurd, and it's just hilarious because I texted you guys about listening to the podcast at half speed.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
No, I didn't because I thought I sounded enough like an idiot without it being
Oh my gosh,
at half speed.
It's so funny. It's
Were you
everyone.
talking about faster?
No.
Oh, you made it slower.
Oh yeah, here, listen to this.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely worse.
If it comes up,
That'd be funny.
I would.
Luke sounds wasted.
I'm on
At
it.
one point, you could bite your thumb at someone. It was the equivalent of saying like "f you."
It's almost
Really?
It's almost too slow. It's like
It's like when they
80.75.
it's when they slow down Pelosi, that clip of Pelosi, and she sounded wasted.
Do that to people and be like,
I'm gonna double
know what
check
that-
that.
at least I know.
I'm pretty sure.
Like,
it's
are you
legit.
okay? Are you biting your thumb?
Are you coming on to me? Or? There's,
Yeah. What is this?
the come down.
Enough. That's enough.
All right. It's just,
Oh, that's fantastic.
That was great.
oh my gosh. Because I've done that with other podcasts. I'm like, why is there even a half speed option? Is that for
I didn't
people
know there was
that
a half speed option.
for people that don't
really got me.
understand
That really
talking at 1x speed? I just like,
Yes.
it's hilarious.
got me. So funny.
So anyway, today we're going to talk about gambling. I think that's kind of the main subject here. Get into it a little faster than yesterday. Talked about tampons for a while.
Are we keeping the lights on?
Jeez.
JJ.
It's fine.
Welcome back.
We're new. We're new at this. It's fine. We can make a mistake every once in a while.
Happens, bro.
Yeah. So gambling. It's one of those things where we all like Vegas. First of all, this is Nathan Palmer. He's also part of our office, new to the podcast.
Big dog.
First time.
Let's go.
First time. Trying to
Popping that cherry, baby.
Yep, that's it. So Nathan, been a longtime friend of mine, Justin's brother.
My
he's-
boss.
Yeah, there, got that covered.
El Jefe.
So really, it's just one of those things where we typically just in our industry that we work in, we'll go to Vegas once or twice a year. Gamble and
Any chance we get?
do all that any excuse we get. So if it's if there's any reason at all, just to go out there. No,
It's always
usually-
a work purpose.
Sometimes you got to make a
Always.
detour on the way back from Phoenix.
Wives and significant others listening. It's always for work.
Always. No, it is always for work.
Yeah, there's always something for work you can do in Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
facts.
Well, that's true. So essentially we go out there, and there's always been a taboo about gambling, Vegas, anything, Sin City, they call it that. It's almost to just provoke the religious community. Right. And it's something that we like, we enjoy doing it. We enjoy gambling. We like playing the slots, playing the table games, just having fun. Right.
Craps for life.
Yeah. And so I have relatives, I have friends, that I grew up with and that I still know that are just like, you went where? You did what? And to me, it's just, Vegas has always just been like an adult arcade for me. We don't have a problem with arcades. But, aside from that, going a little deeper into it, it's just, you kind of wonder, like, where is this perception coming from? Why do people think it's so bad?
I was going to say, because I didn't know it was bad. I mean, I know it's bad for your pockets at times,
Or great for your pockets at times.
or great for your pockets.
In moments.
Yeah.
Glass half full.
In moments.
Moments. And then
Never
everyone
lose
gets
if
excited.
you learn.
Oh, that's powerful.
That'll preach.
That could apply to a lot of different
It's just
things.
out
not
there. It
just
takes a
gambling.
long time to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It's a little more painful. Yeah. The lesson than most.
But it's still less than a college education, typically, right? say if you lose $1,000 every time you go to Vegas, you're still going to be ahead.
And you're gonna have way more fun.
You have way more fun. That's true. Meet new people. Hopefully don't get yourself into too much trouble out there.
So I guess why does it have or I guess in your experience, why does it have a bad rap?
Again, like a lot of things, it's about self-control, right? Justin, did you look anything up and just see kind of exactly what's going on there?
Yeah, so in preparing for the show, wanted to do our diligence, so I did a 5-minute deep dive into what Google thinks about whether or not the Bible is okay with this. So that's for you guys. So basically, that it's not like not mentioning gambling by name, at least is what most of the stuff I'm seeing. And again, please don't come here for your actual like Bible content. Like this is just, we're trying to figure this out, and, I think for me, a lot of what, I'm going through now is I think there needs to be an alignment between like a holy text or a scripture and your conscience. So it's like, I think first with a lot of these topics, like I like to just try to find some stillness and just go inward and say like, okay, what's really wrong about this, right? If it leads you to do something that's destructive, hurt other people, hurt your family, it causes you to lie, cheat, and steal, whatever, right? So there's a lot of like ancillary arms that, can come off of this beast. But for the most part, it looks like a lot of the verses, they tie it back into, the love of money, being sinful or being evil. Or, there's topics of just being a good steward, right? Where you see all throughout Jesus' teachings where, he's giving people, or he's telling stories about people that have been given talents or a certain amount of money, right? The people that squander it or even that just go bury it in the ground, there's just a lot to be said for, stewarding the resources that you have. So it's like, sure, you could probably make a pretty solid argument that gambling isn't maybe the wisest, way to use your resources. But then if you're going to go down that road, I'd say like, okay, all the Karens that are buying a $5 latte every day, like that's pretty irresponsible of your finances. Like that's way more money than I would be spending if I went out, hit a casino or something like that. So,
or if you're that Christian dude driving a Maserati to church, it's just like, how's that different? It's just something you decided to buy to enjoy.
Well, it ties a lot of it into materialism, right? Which is the Bible has, plenty to say about that. But it's like also then you juxtapose kind of that reality from, what the Bible says about money and materialism. And then it's like, look at our culture. I mean, we've talked about this many times about kind of how, call it capitalism or the American dream can often have like conflict with a lot of scripture.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. And like you were saying, it's just a lot of it's the love of money, thinking you're going to go there and win big so that you can buy more crap that you don't need. Have a bigger house, get a nicer car, which, I mean, there's certain things about the human experience we enjoy about that. And, it's arguable whether any of the ambition or drive to get those things or the reasoning for that drive is good or not. But
I feel like it's more so just like a thrill of like, dude, I just put $100 down. I'm walking out of here with 600 and I just had a great time.
Or nothing.
Gabby, the high roller.
Okay. I've actually never left Vegas with money. So
See, some people like to spend hundreds of dollars, fly up to Cedar Point, spend another hundreds of dollars to get into the park, buy a bunch of food and whatever, ride your roller coasters, get your thrill, go home. I mean,
or skydive.
So growing up the way I grew up, and then being involved in churches and ministry and going to like ministry schools and stuff like that, the first time I ever went to Vegas was last year with the office for a work trip, and that was my first experience really. I never really went to casinos. A lot of it was probably just not necessarily like shame or guilt, but I just like I didn't really have the money, A, to be gambling, and then B, it just has that negative perception, and so many of the decisions you make in that world are just based off of optics, not really what you feel like, may or may not be right. So my first time there, I just had no idea what to expect, and it was insane. It was so much fun. Learning craps. I could go down and just sit at that craps table all night long. It was so much fun. But just something about it was just like thrilling and at least when you're out there, shoot, bro, like the Tampa casino is insane. Like their minimum bets are like $25 on a lot of table games. So it's like, you better hit quick and early, or you're gonna be like either out of there real quick, or you're gonna be hurting for cash.
So what?
At least Vegas, you got them $5 minimum. Shout out Ellis Island for life.
Yeah, Ellis Island's legit. Oyo, when the table's open, you know.
I'll never forget that night.
That was so upsetting.
It was me, you, and Luke, wasn't it?
I know. Yeah, it was good.
$5 minimums, Ellis Island.
Because what happened when we went
just
to
all night long.
Oyo? They weren't.
They weren't. The
didn't have
table
the craps
wasn't
table
open.
open.
It was like, oh, we open tomorrow at 11. Some
we have money
stupid
right
rules.
now.
I'm like, yeah. I mean, like it's like
Put it all
it's
in
like
red.
prime time, like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Like, what are we doing here, Oyo? Yeah, it was dumb. But so about that. So at what point does it become thrilling, and then at what point does it become negative? Because at some point, you get so bummed out that you lost $500 in Vegas on this trip, or $1,000, call it whatever, and you're just like, oh, that sucks, and you just can't stop thinking about it. At some point, that probably crosses the line into like, well, did you really go there planning to lose the money?
Well, you have to go in there knowing what you're willing to lose. Because that's probably when it gets
Well, that's a big part
unhealthy.
of
When you lose what you're willing to lose, and you're like, oh, but what if I do one more time and I can win that money back? I think that's when it becomes unhealthy. When
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just like you can't stop yourself from wanting.
Yeah, your 10th trip to the ATM
Right.
is probably
If it's affecting you paying your car payment, then it's probably an issue.
right. Right. Alimony, though, it's like, you know, if you're paying alimony or something, you know, and you're short, it's not a big deal. Yeah. If you're trying to like buy food, yeah, of course, that's one thing. So, I mean, Nathan, you know, it's interesting getting your perception, because I would probably consider you and Luke kind of on that same spiritual level and just having a very simple outlook on the Christian faith and everything. But you're probably the one that loves this the most out of all of us. So it's just interesting, that dichotomy, and just understanding it. Just be interesting to get your take on it. You know, how do you feel about it? At what point do you feel like it's wrong or inappropriate? And I guess what would you say is probably the mainstream perception, and how would you say that they may be, you know, a little bit misled on, you know, their feelings about it, and why, you know, it may be okay within certain bounds, I guess.
We may have to go one question
That's
at a time.
fine.
That was like 6.
Just thought of it, just said them as I thought of it.
You didn't write
Sub
them down?
questions.
It's fine.
I did not.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. So what's your?
So what was the first
what's
question?
No, it's really just like, you know, what's your feeling on it? You know, just having the upbringing similar to Justin. I mean, just traditionally, you know, I think a lot of us in our upbringing, because I grew up in Assemblies of God churches. You know, we were very legalistic, and a lot of people just had such a negative outlook on gambling. Period. You know, just period. So what would you say, in your perspective, you know, makes it okay, or maybe, you know, why are people's perceptions just so strict and maybe go over the line when it comes to, you know, gambling and, you know, within like healthy boundaries?
So I think that was 6 questions again, but we'll just start with what the basic
Probably.
idea on gambling was.
I'm getting better at this, hopefully.
So I mean, yeah, look, you cannot deny that growing up, this topic would have been revered similar to the sex idea. Not that like that it was just bad; it was wrong, right? Not like it's okay later, it's okay under the right circumstances, it's okay, and whatever. It was taboo, it was wrong, and probably because it's very pragmatically associated with a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Whether it's alcohol, drugs,
Prostitution, being Las Vegas.
yeah, and so
Them little cards are everywhere. I was not ready for that. And low key, I was kind of surprised by some of the pricing. I was like,
is it on the card?
yeah.
I've never.
Well,
actually
you
looked at the
just,
card.
I don't know, you know? I'm just taking it straight up, and I'm like, looking at all of these together, hers feels a little low. Hers is way too high.
You spread them like a deck of cards. You're doing trading cards.
Bro, I'm into Pokemon, you know, it's collectibles.
It's true. Yeah, some Pokemon, you're like, what? Why is that one so expensive?
It was just one of those things where it was like there was a bunch on one of the fences while we were walking by, and I just caught a few of them. I'm like, oh, well, good for her. She's got a very high opinion of herself. That's good.
Hey, if you can get it, you can get it. She may be known for her
You can always
talents.
negotiate down. Yeah, you want to start high.
You know, what surprised me were the midgets. I hadn't experienced that,
Dude.
until we.
Can we get into that?
We can tell the story. It's fine.
Oh man, I'm not telling this. Was I there? I don't think I was there.
Where were we? Were walking home
We were
from
walking
somewhere.
down the
Sorry,
strip.
some massive side tangent. We will get back on track. but-
Nah, it's fine. We do this. So we were walking down the strip. I think we were going. I think we were headed south from Planet Hollywood. I think we were going somewhere. I don't know, somewhere, because we were staying in Planet Hollywood, and we just go, and these guys are always soliciting, you know, for like escorts and, you know, different clubs and parties and stuff, and he was he was like, hey, we got, you know, midgets tonight and whatever. And just like, what? And then he follows it up by like, hey, I can't make you. You just gotta want
You
it.
gotta want it.
It's like, okay.
I'm gonna need at least 24 hours, brother. I wasn't prepared for that.
That's
for that
hilarious.
inquiry.
Just you imagine how many drunk guys are going down the street like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I could be into that.
Now, if you ever hear us say to each other, "You gotta want it,"
You
now
gotta
you know
want
where
it.
that
That's
comes
exactly, yeah. No, so many inside
What
jokes
is the
came
height
from that.
qualification for a midget?
from. I think
I think it's under 5 foot for an adult, isn't it? 5'4", 10 or something. I don't know.
What did you say?
You want to look that up?
like there's-
I'm 5'2", so I'd rather it not be 5'4".
Because I've heard this, and it's like technically under 5 or 4'11 or
4'11",
something.
that's what I thought, yeah.
But like,
Could you look it up?
there's a very.
I feel like this is important.
This is.
Is it?
I don't know how inappropriate this is, but there's just like, I mean,
We're talking about these are defined things. We're not making fun of anyone.
For any midgets watching, totally utmost respect for you guys.
Absolutely.
for sure.
This says
What are the
4'10".
chances?
Well, because there's like
4'10".
there's like dwarfism where it's like the features, and it's like there's some like small like kind of proportion things that may not be on, but I feel like there's people that are like 4'10" that are just really tiny
Yeah.
humans. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll do our research and come back. There's probably something else going on.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll revisit this right away. It may
Wait
not-
till we have a bigger audience.
Yeah.
It may not be ever,
Wait till we have
but
more people to
Just
offend.
cancel us before we can get off the ground.
it's fine. It's totally fine. But anyway, swinging this back around here. Yeah. So you were saying. Yeah, so what was your first perception? What was your first experience gambling? And then, did you have reservations the first time you did it, or how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, look, it felt wrong, so it felt right. You know,
Okay.
Ooh.
I feel that.
Yeah, I felt that one.
You know?
Yeah.
I think the
I
first
got
time,
chills.
I think the first time I was out there was with Zelnick, out there for a work conference, and I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, and he kind of took us around, and we were gambling with his money, so
Was that when I was there too?
it could have been.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that would have been my first, but certainly one of the first.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
when.
it very well could have been my first.
That's when I had my
Your incident.
1-year-old with us. Yeah.
You brought the baby at the casino? Like hangover style? Little Carlos?
Little Carlos.
You brought your
Little
own
Lincoln.
Carlos?
Yeah. No, it was.
You got him.
Well,
Oh, man.
I didn't. It was my first time to Vegas, and so like Christina was just like, "Well, I'm gonna go." And
I
so,
could just imagine.
and Lindsay was there too. You know,
That's much
Nathan's
more-
wife.
That's fine.
And
We didn't
so-
have kids though yet, right?
You didn't have kids, no, but we had the baby, and we were just staying in this place off the strip. And there's some stories from that trip. I don't know if I'll tell right now, but
Little Carlos.
little Carlos.
Was that his name?
But yeah, so the boss we had at the time, or the guy we worked with or for, he was basically just kind of like, he just wanted people to sit there and gamble with him. So he was just throwing us 20s and putting it into like the video poker machine, and we were just kind of just okay, whatever, free money, you know. And so we won a little bit on that, and then like, you know, pocketed some of the earnings to gamble the next day, and I think we went further south. So I think it was South Point off the strip the following day, and we just like made $300 on some other slots.
Yeah, dude literally hit like he was betting the minimum bet and won the highest
Like multiple?
you could win on the machine,
It
which was $300.
so dumb.
Oh, even if you were doing
we
a
had
bigger
bet
bet?
$1. No, well, he would have won.
So
He bet the minimum and
Got it.
got the maximum.
multiple on
I was
the
betting $1.
multiple.
I would have made like 30 grand. I was,
Oh.
Yeah.
And pretty much.
No wonder
Vegas
you
has
hit
been
that
downhill
Willy
since
Wonka
then.
machine so hard last time.
Oh yeah.
He was searching for that.
The Willy Wonka machine has
We found her.
Has really.
He did find her.
She's a ruthless lover.
She robbed him this time.
She got you good.
No, because the first time I went and did it, and it was like I think you were with me.
I was with you, yeah.
And these guys have another brother, Christian. He was with us too. It was one spin. It was $100 because I bet $4 or whatever, on a spin, and I was just like $100. It's like I'm out, and this was great,
Yeah.
because my sister had told me about the machine. So next trip I went, I don't think I won anything like one time. And it was just literally like 25 spins and there goes $100, right? So I was out. I was like, this is so stupid. And last time we were at the airport, we got another Wonka machine and we were up $400. And it was just like, all right, we should probably walk away. And he's like, no, there's no chance that we don't at least, And then we lose it all. And then the lady who was like attending, you like, you guys were up $400. You should have walked away. The lady who like works it.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, that's how it works. Okay.
yeah, well, but I would say that's probably one of the ways that, that you're doing it in kind of, if you want to call it a healthy way, is that you're not like greedy. And at the same time, it's like, it's fine if you know when to walk away and you keep a budget. But at the same time, you kind of do it for fun. It's like, oh, well, what if? And if you lose it all, it's like, well, whatever, I lost it all.
Yeah.
I've never heard you complain at all about being down. I mean, it's fun when you're up, but I've never, and that's probably
You mentally prepare
a
yourself.
sign that you're just doing it for fun and you're not addicted to it.
Yeah.
Well, there's something to be said for like, in a responsible way, but it's just like that active like detachment from the money. Cause it's like, if it was really hard for me to gamble and like every time I lost it, like really hurt, like, I probably wouldn't do it, but it's just like, I don't know. I just think on some level, like, it's not like you want to be foolish with money by any means, obviously, but I don't know. There's just some aspect where it was just this, you're living out this constant detachment. You're just like, oh, if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. Like, it's not like your emotions, obviously you're going to be pumped when you win and bummed when you lose, but like, I don't know if you can find a way to get through where it's, it's not really affecting you incredibly emotionally. Obviously you want to enjoy it, but like, I still remember last time we were in Vegas and we were all sitting on the, computer craps. And it's a game where you're all kind of on the same team, or you can be if you want to be. And like, we all like put a bunch of money on the field and like hit like a 2 or something and just went nuts. And it was just like, man, I'll remember that moment forever. And then I lost it all.
It's just a party, a big party.
You know what the funny thing is too?
Everybody's
It doesn't even matter how much you bet either sometimes. Like you could be like betting pennies or something, and I think a lot of those machines, the machines or table games, like the lowest you can find is usually $5. I mean, they have dollar blackjack at Oyo. Again, shout out to Oyo. But it's one of those things
We're
where
open for sponsorships.
Yeah, we're open for sponsorships.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next time it's
We
just
will
like
bring the podcast to Vegas.
presented by Oyo.
Right outside of the Hooters Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across from Tropicana. Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you don't even have to be betting a lot of money. It's just the excitement, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's almost like sure, maybe it's a little more exciting, more money, you can win, but it's just like it's like any kind of excitement, like going to the arcade and just like beating Time Crisis when we were little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like
Got to pay for that too.
the same kind of thing. Yeah, so it's just the excitement. It's not so much like, just thinking that I'm going to be rich and my life is going to change. I've never thought that going to Vegas.
You'll
Never.
be very disappointed.
Yeah, but I would say there are probably people where that's a problem, and that they can't even get into it because it's just they have addictive personality, or they really think that it's the same kind of people that buy lotto tickets every day. Nothing against, I guess, people that play lottery. It's whatever. It's the way you choose to spend your money. But it kind of goes into that mindset. Like, what's your mindset going into it, right? So, because there's a lot of people that budget. I'll budget. If I want to spend $500 when I go out there or whatever, and I lose it, I'll lose it, and that's kind of it. I think.
And you're real happy
Yeah, happy.
every time.
Every time. I'm just like, That was it. I lost the $500, and you know what? Normally I don't
JJ?
lose all of it.
He's sleeping again.
Yeah. Well, that happened with I think Gabby last couple times. I think
Yeah, every time.
ran the money pretty quick.
Well, and they're not stupid. That's why they got, free drinks slinging around, and it's just like they're creating an environment where you're just feeling a little more ballsy than you normally would. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, so from that point, there's the time that we were gambling with other people's money, and then from there, would you say you just kind of got hooked on the fun, or like what made you go back and just keep doing it?
Yeah, my life story is pretty simple. I was told not to do something. I generally didn't do it, and that was okay. So I think having some exposure to it,
As opposed to Justin.
I had to know why it was that. I was like, I hear what you're saying.
Same
Hear me
parents.
I get it.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Nathan's like, sure. Justin's like,
Well, because my thing was like, have you tried it though? Like, it's like a bunch of people telling you not to do things that they never did. And I'm just like, I don't know. There's something in me. I just had to, had to go down the road.
Yep. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
yes, once I got a taste of it, I liked it and wanted to do it again, and it seemed, I guess perspective is everything around it, and this and several topics, but one could argue that all of our life is a gamble. How we spend every minute, we're always in an exchange, whether it's our time, our resource, hoping for some type of emotional or positive experience, right? Or feeling that comes from it. So,
Gambling is just the easiest direct illustration of that. And so people get all weird about it.
yeah, it's very calculated, right? The sounds, the graphics. They're not, these people aren't idiots that make this stuff. So they know how to get our endorphins going.
The Walking Dead machine.
It's nice.
Oh my gosh.
She pays out like 1 in 1,000, but
Yeah, no, but every time you're just like,
and the problem is if you caught
is-
that early,
this is going to be the time.
you're always hoping it could happen again.
Like with anything, you get a little bit of success when you're a newbie.
Oh, it's like when we were at the airport. It's like, well, we only got one of the 3 bonuses. What are the other bonuses like?
yeah. How long do I have to sit here?
And now we can play with the airport's money
Yeah.
to play them.
And we just got, but that one first bonus happens like once every 100 times, and the other 2 bonuses are like once every 10,000. It's just like, it gives you that, but it makes it look like they're just as common. Oh, it's crazy.
There's always a chance.
Yeah. So what kind of games do you like to play? What's your favorite?
So when I started out there, I only really felt comfortable playing games that weren't around other people. So a slot machine or whatever, because I can mess up and be accountable to me, but I'm not at a table where my actions, right or wrong, impact other players' cards or whatever. So started out at any of the video related games, and but I'm proud of myself. I did learn blackjack and craps, and although it's really interesting when you go play with these people, blackjack especially. I had one night where I was hitting it good, and you were hitting good cards, but you end up playing with these people who expect you to play by the book. And so, you get a soft hand, or you're like, man, it's like you're not supposed to, or you're supposed to hit on 16, and it's like, that never works for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
So then you don't do it. Maybe it happens good or bad for you,
And
but
then they're
then
mad at the
whatever the
cards that
next
they
happens,
get.
next guy, yeah,
They get mad you didn't
they
follow
get
the
pissed
rules.
that that you didn't follow the rules, because then they got a different card.
Dude, that was my last time in Tampa with my younger brother. He was sitting right next to me, and he lost every hand, but I was winning everything. So I literally just kept giving him a chip to play every time, because I was like, you're pretty much the reason I'm getting all these. So I just
Hey,
get
look,
my winnings, give
you
him
picked
one to
that
get back in the
seat.
game.
You did pick that seat.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's crazy. In Vegas, you do see those guys that get pissed. And you just wonder, like, if these guys weren't in Vegas and they were out of that element and they were back home, how many of
God,
them?
I'm not that guy's wife.
Oh gosh. Well, it's easy to identify the people with problems in Vegas. Like clearly, they're very vocal. They're very like visually upset and displeased. But then it's so funny. You wonder how many of those people would identify themselves as Christians in their personal life. Probably a lot. I mean, I would imagine. You know, I mean, it's funny because a lot of people live separate lives, right? And so I see that there's definitely merit in a lot of people. You know, a lot of people who have these addictive personalities are the first ones to tell you don't do that, right? Because they think everyone's like them. And, you know, it's not, I mean, how many people, you know, just play the college or, you know, these NBA brackets, right? They'll throw money in a pot and it's a gamble. I mean, they're gambling, right? But it's okay because it's not the flashing lights and you're not in Sin City, right? So it's just kind of funny, you know, because I just wonder, like, you know, if you tried to ask these people, like, how is that different, what their answer would be, right?
It's interesting, too, just seeing how much culturally is shifting, like, you know, going forward, if you see more efforts to just kind of legalize, because I think that's part of it. For me, it's like Nate said, it was just like, oh, I can't do this. Like, it takes me hours to go somewhere to do this, so I don't have like access to this just anytime I want. You know, and some people don't have. I mean, they got to actually get to Vegas. I mean, I'm sure now it's kind of easing up, and you know, with sports gambling, everything's, you know, a lot of that stuff's probably changing pretty fluidly. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if kind of the cultural perception begins to shift even within, you know, faith communities and stuff like that, obviously.
As things become more legal?
Yeah, just more acceptable in culture.
So do you think, because it shouldn't be, you know, it technically shouldn't be, like, you know, say you follow the Bible, that, like, culture shouldn't dictate what the Bible says is okay, but a lot of times that's how people see it.
100%. Yeah, I think the scriptures were always meant to transcend culture, but, you know, people, I mean, constantly fall prey to the, you know, prisoner of the moment, and they just look at through the lens of society. And I mean, so much of what forms people is just, you know, nature versus nurture, being a product of your environment. And I mean, you can't help but have some sense of a lens.
It's amazing to me, the people that are okay with drinking. Right, the majority of people are okay with drinking, but then those same people would have an issue with marijuana.
Or like someone who grew up in Amsterdam, right, where it's a very common, normal part of life. And, you know, I don't know the statistics, but, I mean, Amsterdam hasn't burned to the ground yet. And it's one of those things where a lot of times, I mean, look at, like, to that point, you know, look at states like Colorado and, you know, some of the earlier states, you know, there was this, felt like there was this big collective holding your breath moment for the country, because we were just like, half of the people were just like, yo, what's going to happen? And you had other people that were just like waiting for it to just, you know, burn up in flames.
The literal end of the world.
Yeah, like just like, oh, it's, you know, we're going to have all kinds of extra problems in society if we legalize something like this. And it largely made no difference. And then the state was bringing in like $1 billion a year.
It created a tax revenue, and then everyone's home values went up. And real estate got real expensive out there.
Well, think of the amount of people incarcerated because of
nonviolent.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to cover that in another podcast, so we won't go too deep into that. But as far as legalizing gambling, I mean, do you think if gambling was legal and we had casinos everywhere, would it be an issue? I mean, would people get sucked into it? Would people lose their houses because they can't pay their bills?
Look, if they're gonna lose their house, if gambling becomes legal, and they're gonna find a way to lose their house regardless.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, those type of people are those type of people, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, what, you know, as far as, you know, what Christians say about it.
Yeah, I think I think the one challenging point is, you know, the idea that you flee the appearance of evil, which just means that you do your best to put yourself in situations whereby at a later date or at some point in the future, it doesn't become a temptation for you, and then ultimately an abusive issue, right? So I think that's the other stigma around it that's pretty big for how I would have grown up is not that. I mean, you just referenced alcohol. It's not that alcohol's wrong, but when it's a part of your life and then major life event, circumstance, problem hits you, then something that was okay because it's a part of your life now becomes something that's extreme. It's not that alcohol's wrong. It's just, but then when it becomes abused and then it becomes to hurt you and your family or people around you. So I think gambling is kind of the, synonymous with that, where in the proper quantity under the right set of guidelines, circumstances, with money that you can afford to lose, is okay. The question or the vice would be is, if it was accessible to the degree alcohol is, would you see more problems with people who, again, it was okay, it was normal, a little bit here and there, no big deal, and all of a sudden major life event happens, and then that just becomes something that they turn to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could very well be. Yeah. I mean, do you think it's the government's job to protect people from themselves?
No, I mean, I don't think this is a government
Or
I don't really
Christians,
think
for that matter.
Yeah, I don't think it's a government issue. That's what I'm just saying. I think that the idea, that whole flee the appearance of whatever is not because it's maybe wrong in the moment, but that because it just, you allow something into your life that could be difficult or harder to, be good with later.
Yeah. What was your first experience gambling, Gab? Do you remember?
Yeah, I went to Tampa probably a couple times after I turned 18, just playing like Texas Hold'em, but like I never had the like real casino experience until we went to Vegas.
Can you do that at 18 in Florida?
There's some,
You can
there's
play
some
Texas
stuff you can
Hold'em.
do. Yeah, poker
Yeah.
and all that. That's not illegal.
I think in Vegas, don't you have to be 21 to be in there?
Yeah,
I guess it's not important for this conversation.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know. Oh well, probably because all the casinos serve alcohol, and that's a national. I mean, I think the national drinking age is 20.
Yeah, I don't know. I
21.
definitely went in there. Maybe I don't remember if they ID'd me, but definitely went in there. Played Texas Hold'em,
Yeah.
but yeah, didn't actually get the experience till we went. I think end of 2020, and like I never played like blackjack or craps or anything. It was just Texas Hold'em. But I mean, it was so much fun.
So
I mean, I lost the money I brought, but it was so much fun. No regrets.
no regrets. So it looks like, I don't know how accurate this is, but this says if you're in a casino, you must keep walking. Like the question was, can you get into a casino at age 20? It says, if you're in a casino, you must keep walking. If you stop to observe, security will ask for ID to prove you're 21 or older. And then they'll ask you to move on. So yeah, it's probably the alcohol reason, just because they're not really IDing people when they're giving out drinks.
Right. They don't ID anybody.
But that's going to be, I mean, just like the whole marijuana conversation. I mean, if it moves into a place of being more legal, I mean, it's going to be covered in regulation. Like, you go to the Tampa Hard Rock, you're going to have a completely different experience than a Vegas casino. Like, it's hard to get a drink. They're not cheap, Well,
Yeah,
I guess that's the
definitely two
biggest
different
difference.
experiences.
Those are the two big ones there.
Because that one stings a little. When you're already losing money on the gambling, it's
Yeah, you're
like
like, at least I'm getting
we're having
free
fun,
drinks,
getting some
yeah.
drinks. It's whatever. And then when you're just, that's a lose sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of those things where, I mean, because you could argue, as a Christian, I mean, you could argue that just being in Vegas in that atmosphere, because there are definitely things that are a little taboo in Vegas, aside from the gambling, right? Mm-hmm. Like certain casinos will have like girls just dancing, whatever, right? I mean, there's definitely parts of that experience that are kind of like questionable, like, okay, well, avert your eyes or whatever.
That's where the money's at.
It is where the money's at most of the time.
They ain't losing tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
They went in.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely that part of it that kind of comes with the experience. But I mean, it's just so funny because people find any way to gamble. I mean, I love it how people will say, I don't gamble, but I invest in the stock market. It's just like, well,
That's gambling, buddy.
yeah,
I lost a lot more in the stock market than I ever lost at a casino. I'll tell you that much.
that is true. But it's hilarious. It's just like, so can we go to Vegas and just call it investing? I mean, it's just, we may as well.
It's lucrative.
Yeah, right. It's just it
It's
can't.
like, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's just like, I need to go to Vegas and invest some money. That's hilarious. It's like, oh, what, a real estate project? No, just other investments, just
Some
miscellaneous.
quick returns.
Miscellaneous, yeah, short-term gains.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny because it's just and it's so funny like how people can't. It's just like this thing with anything, right? People think drinking's bad, and then they'll have or they'll be okay with just having alcohol if it's in the wine for communion or something, or they think that it's just like, and that's probably a bad example, but it's just, how do you define it? How do you define gambling, right? And it's just, there are certain things in life that, like Nathan said, a lot of life is a gamble. A lot of things you're doing, right? Is this move going to pay off? Am I doing this the right way, or is this the right thing to do? Is this the right investment of my time? And it's really just all gambling. And we're just treating it like, okay, no, you're playing cards, and if you lose money, that's gambling. Or a slot machine, if you're putting money in a slot machine and you lose money, that's gambling. Or if you win or lose, whatever the result, I guess, isn't important. The fact that you're gambling the money. But it's just really interesting how we choose to try to define these things when in all reality, everyone gambles, in their own way. And we are just using these definitions to try to condemn people. And it's just hard. I just don't see the merit in that.
I think the other tricky thing, which could be associated with probably many of the topics you guys talk about, is kind of the world's perception of what a Christian should or should not do versus what's actually okay, and how are we living our lives responsible to Christ to be a witness to those around us, right? So we've spent 30 minutes talking about why it's okay, like not a technical sin to gamble. The question I would have or ask is, based on our responsibility to live our lives, maybe to a higher standard, maybe not, or in some areas, maybe to a higher standard, maybe not, how do we do, if we really believe that Christ is the hope of the world and all of that our actions are then based on other people or culture's perspective of that, because how many people, like, hypocrisy is running like crazy in the church world, right? It's like, well, I see you at church, you say this, I see you in the world doing this. That doesn't add up. Therefore, I'm not interested, right? Because I think we're in a world that is dying for reality, right? They want it to be real. And so, like, how do you balance, like, the cultural expectations of what is okay, what is not okay, versus what actually is?
Yeah, and is it Christianity or whatever religion's job to change that perception? Or because a lot of people are just they just claim that it's they're unapologetic about who they are as a person, right? It's just like, oh, I need to live my life unaffected by everyone else. I am who I am, and just my faith is my faith, and this is how I'm living it out, and regardless of what other people think. But I think what other people think is very important. Like, I think it's real important because, like you said, people will just be like, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's such an easy example I always think back to is, when Tony talks about swearing, right? Right, wrong, indifferent, doesn't matter, doesn't feel the need to do it in his personal life, but in the context with colleagues or in business settings or whatever, because culture has created such a taboo around certain words, and then those words have implied, like, meaning. He has to use certain types of communication to ultimately get people to react.
Yeah.
It's just, you know,
Do you think part of that is
Achieving that
because we're
emphasis.
just so good at suppressing, and it's like it almost takes something extreme to really break through and actually like provoke a little authentic like response. I just think about, I mean, there were just, dude, my masks had masks. Like it was just like, you cannot crack me, bro. Like I will go toe to toe. But I was just chilling nonstop, dealing with shame and guilt. Those are just horrible emotions to be living in, you know? So it's even when you're in a church setting, you're trying to do the right thing. All you can think about is just like, I didn't earn the right to like be engaged or to really, because I mean, I don't know, I was just actually for this past Mother's Day yesterday, went to church with my mom because I've been out of church for it's got going on 2 years almost, and I didn't miss a Sunday for 30 years of my life, and so that was because the first 3 years I was a baby, and my parents planted a church, and we lived there, and so I was there a lot. But like going back and just being real about it, there's elements of it where and the church was incredible. These are the most amazing people, but there's still real elements where I'm just like, I don't want to see these people because end of the day, it's like I know they're going to be incredibly loving and supportive. And maybe this isn't even appropriate to assume anything about them, but in my mind, the way that I just think about it, it's like we live this cult. We're just obsessed with other people's perception and what they think. Yeah. And so it's, part of it, you don't even want to be in the building because it's like, I just don't want to have the conversation and that small talk, like, how you been? Da, 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 da. And it's like, I'm not really ready to, I guess I'll dive in if you want to have a real conversation, but we're going to need to go get lunch. It's going to take some time. But what was interesting is just being there.
It's amazing
yesterday.
how we all find ourselves small talking. I hate it so much.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, what else do you say? I mean, there's too many. It's like there's too many people in the church to get deep with everyone. So it's like you have to resort to small talk, or you just seem like an a-hole. So it's just like, what do you?
Just need to normalize that head nod, bro. Just be like, hey, I see you, acquaintance. We are in the same building often, but
unless you have a problem, don't talk to me.
Yeah, don't talk to
What's
me.
good, bro? And then I just think it's not like being mean. I think just naturally it's like we have X amount of bandwidth in our lives, and it's just, there's a reason I think that a lot of the New Testament churches in Acts, they describe them as meeting from house to house, and it was just, they didn't build mega churches, or they could have, who knows, but it's, the model that Jesus gave us was, I got an inner circle of 3, Peter, James, and John, and then I got 12 disciples, and we're going to go around and spend our time ministering, but we're not, they didn't add people to the group as, time went on. It was just this thing where you only have so much time, and it's, I'm with you. I think probably a lot for me because I was dealing with a lot of that, living 2 lives. And it wasn't because I didn't want Jesus or I didn't want to pursue ministry. It was, I really did love that. And I felt like I had skills to do it. But I also felt this other thing inside me that was just I didn't want to be fake, but it was I had genuine interest. I wanted to go down that road also. And, of course, a lot of those things I ended up doing going down that road weren't helpful. They hurt people. And, it does come with regret. But I still feel like I'm in the place where being at that service yesterday, I think part of the reason I just so value this specifics, and there's a million ways to do church now. That's the thing. It's we shouldn't even be arguing to begin with. But a lot of times, there's so many different ways to do church when it's Jesus spoke and then we have one blueprint. And then now there's a million kind of Christian churches out there. And so then it becomes, so much the conversation is, they didn't do music long enough. The music was too long. Those songs were too old. The songs were too new. Da-da-da-da. And it's, there's just, you just start to critique everything. But this service I was at yesterday, it was it was super refreshing because it just felt like such an authentic experience. Like we were there for like 2.5 hours, or maybe a little over 2 hours, and I think it was about an hour and 35, hour and 40 minutes of the music, because it was just, dude, you could just, I don't know, I cried a lot. Like I was just like something about the atmosphere where it was like you get enough people in a building, in a room, where they can kind of let go of the junk, you know, all the stuff that we carry that we're not really meant to carry. And
There's something. I mean,
you feel it.
yeah.
I think it's funny. I was in a seminar with Tony one time. He was talking about some of the reasons that he has people do certain things in the room, right? Standing up, singing or screaming or whatever. Like we were literally designed that different, I'm going to say the wrong words, hormones or endorphins, something are released when we do those actual actions. So it's interesting, and it's not surprising that when you're in a setting like that, and I can relate in many, you know, really intense isn't the right word, but really genuine worship experiences at concerts or conferences, like where it's like, man, like this is so cool because God literally made me to have this like euphoric moment worshiping Him, which is just so cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even, yeah, like you were saying, to a lot of people, it's not even religious. They wouldn't even relate it to that. It's just
same people in the world feel that at like a U2 concert.
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say the same thing. I mean,
Spiritual
like, I don't ever
experience.
go to church, but there are some like worship songs that I listen to where I just like get full body chills. I'm just like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
There's like sometimes just like the feeling behind the. I mean, I don't know what it is, but about it
All
sometimes.
about that bass.
The bass.
Well, I think because I agree with you, it just hits different, and I don't know why. If I had to guess, I think a lot of it has to do with the intention behind, like the why behind the song.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, because there's like other like non-worship songs where I also get like full body chills. And I'm like, why is this happening?
Yeah. One, it's just, man, I found myself, because I used to listen to nothing but Christian worship music. Like when we grew up, it was like I still remember when Mom found your CD with wet country music on it, and it was like a thing. It was
It was a
confiscated.
bad thing. Oh,
And like it was
kind of
just
country
like,
music.
It could have been anything. Who knows?
I mean, it had to have been just the most benign. Like
It was probably Corey's.
Willie Nelson.
yeah, no, just super chill, like nothing bad.
yeah.
But it was just like this is on the acceptable list of things to listen to. But I mean, I do agree that end of the day, you see it all throughout scriptures, like the gates, like the ears and the eyes, you know, what we watch and listen to. Like, it's no wonder that we look at culture and you go look at like pop culture, you look at the most popular songs. Like, you could probably go look at like the top 10 songs right now. And I'm going to guess like the messages are going to be a little like probably wouldn't want to teach this stuff to my kids type of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's understandable because so many great songs and so much just birthed out of that pain or that real raw emotion. But then you have like, I mean, there was this, I grew up on like little alt rock. I loved Blink 182. Couldn't really listen to it, but if I could, I would have listened to him now. But there was another album that came out, and the guy in like a Machine Gun Kelly kind of vibe is more recent stuff. And then this other guy came out, and I think his name's like Jaden, and he released an album, and it had a real similar like MGK kind of Blink 182 vibe, and I loved it. And so I was just like jamming it all the time. And then I went to listen to like every single song. It's like, this kid's like 18, and it's like you made it in our society. Like, you're doing pretty well. And every song was about like not wanting to be here, was about escaping, was about pills. I mean, it's just, you know, maybe it's just part of that industry. But, you know, I think part of the reason that some of those worship songs just hit you is because like there's just something about music where it I don't know, whether it just kind of drops your defenses, and it's just,
It's almost like
you connect
motivational
with it.
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, something can be said for that. Circling back to the circles and like how as humans it's hard for us to be involved with too many people. I don't know. Is there an example in the Bible where it says where it talks about Jesus like turning people away, like people that want to be part of the 12 or something like that, and him just saying, "Hey, sorry, there's no space."
I don't know, honestly. I'll have to Google that. Right
That's what I kind of just. I mean, that's my problem is that, you know, I serve on the worship team currently, and it's just, is difficult because
Until they see this podcast.
yeah, right. And be like, we're gonna need you to step down. And then no, so I
Got to get that Monday morning breakfast meeting, bro.
yeah. So yeah. So no, I mean there are hundreds of people, involved in a volunteer sense in that. And there's new people coming all the time. I'm always serving new people. People that are starving for community. They need, they want people to be their friends, to do life with. And I feel bad. It's like I wish I had time to hang out with everyone. But the fact is, I probably spend more time with you guys than I do with anyone else, right?
Yeah.
And that's like for 40 hours a week at least, right? And
What a lucky guy.
What a lucky
What a
guy.
lucky guy.
Lucky me.
Well, lucky us, right? Lucky
Yeah.
us.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Turn it around. But it, for me, it's just like I just wish I had time to hang out with everyone, but I can't. Like I just don't feel like we were designed to have this many close relationships. I mean, you were saying, Jesus had 3 people, and then there was the 12. So how is that? What's the commensurate example in our lives where it's like, all right, I have some close friends, I have some like friends that I'll hang out with somewhat frequently, but then it's like other people. What am I supposed to do? Just be like, hey, sorry, man, there's no room. You can't.
Well, even
do
if
that.
you tried to, it wouldn't be as genuine as
I know, and I end up letting people down. That's happened before, right? So it's just like, what do you do, right? You just, and I know we're off topic, but it's fine. We can go here because it's important. I feel like it's.
Well, the question is like, how do you balance? Because like my in-laws, I think, did a really good job with this. Like they have 4 or 5 or 6 couples that literally were in their church together when the church was small, and for 25 years, maybe more, like they've all been best friends, small groups together, hanging out together, serving together, going on vacations together, raising kids together.
I mean, they were also part of a small town,
That's what I was going to
there
say,
are
though.
unique challenges when it comes to living in a bigger city.
Yeah, I mean,
but
the scriptures were written to people that were kind of having more of a small town type experience for the most part. I mean, these are a lot of developed cities in the world, but I mean,
people getting new jobs, constantly moving away, and new people coming in. I mean, I've had close friends leave and move away for jobs in other states. Like, how often did that happen to them?
Yeah, uncommon. I would say, they were like 20 minutes outside of Columbus, and I think I know what all of the people that worked did, and most of the jobs were in Columbus. They just happened to all live a little outside of town. But they were, look, they grew up specifically in their generation, which is 20 or 30 years better than us, where you just didn't move a lot. You didn't pursue a lot of opportunity. So here we are in a very transient area where everybody's kind of chasing their dream, the next job, whatever. Look at my father-in-law. Like, he worked at the power company diligently for 35 years. Like, he certainly could have had opportunities to do something different or, whatever. But it was just that culture that really stuck with it. So how do we, at 30 years old or 35 years old, create that community to do life with when?
Well, I think the biggest challenge
in
to that,
today's climate, because this is very different
Right.
as time has gone on.
Well, I think to your point, I think the challenge is we don't view that tribe of like really close, trusted people, like having that as like the most important thing in our life, right? Like it's, hey, I'm just going to go wherever the best financial opportunity is for me and my family, because I think that brings us the best level of security, and comfort. And then once we get there, we'll find a church, probably hop around a few different ones, try it out, see what we like.
Yeah.
And it's
Those are the kind of people that constantly move around, have over 2,000 Facebook friends and no real friends.
Yeah.
Well,
It's just
I think it's just become normal. That's probably become a very normal thing. And so
Well, you just compare like my in-laws with like our parents. Like my friends were like friends of everyone and yet friends of nobody. Like,
Right.
Like those couples, like they did life together, vacation together. They helped each other when somebody was sick or meal trains or whatever. Like we don't have that. We didn't have that. We were probably closer with a couple families growing up, but only because they wanted closer access to dad.
No, and I still think like one of the coolest things, thinking about going forward and like really finding your people and your tribe and like in that similar situation, like how dope would it be to just buy like all this land, like a cul-de-sac, and just get like 5 families that you really just, you know, you don't have to love everyone, but like people you've just committed to like,
Compound steps.
we're going to, yeah, right.
So
I think you just,
It's in the plan.
okay.
It's in the plan.
I was like, is
But,
this gonna happen?
But I mean, how dope
you
would
just
that
described
be?
a commune.
Like, how dope would that be though? Like if you got, you know,
all-
something
we can
happens.
all do drugs together.
And it's like, there's like 3 or 4 houses, like life happens. Life happens.
You
Come
need
to my
a
house
couch?
for that.
Is that what you're saying? You need a couch.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I got the dogs, no children. It's great.
You're planning for your future wife kicking you out. You need a house.
Yeah,
I need a couch.
exactly.
I'm gonna walk next door.
But I mean, how cool would that be? Just to like,
Underground tunnels.
yeah,
So cool.
just like in the whoever you know goes out and works, whatever. But
I've
like
never thought about this.
you could,
I've never
yeah,
thought about
right.
First time brought this up.
But just
ever.
the people in the homes would just kind of rally together and make the meals for the people that are working to come home. Doesn't need to be the men and the women or what. I mean, however that boils out and
Yeah.
where it breaks down, you know. But like, just I think
If the
because
pod's
of
successful, private chef.
yeah, for sure that.
Oh, there you go.
But it's like we because it's so easy to travel now, we just spread out and like we all live in the same city, but like I mean me and Nate probably like 25, 30 minutes away. My mom's like in the same city, but she's like a good 30, 35 minute drive. And so
Yeah.
I mean she's super helpful and we do help each other with a lot of things, but it's like I mean that's like an hour of my day to get there and back, or it's an hour in her day to just pop over to my house and let my dogs out if I can't be home every 8 hours, kind of a thing. And it's like, man, life would just be so simple if I had just like
Didn't have dogs.
a squad.
I think
No, if
also
we could
that. I
bring
think
our
about that all
dogs
the
to
time.
work, life would be simple.
All right, I'm not down with that.
You get this little card.
dogs
this
are the greatest.
Emotional support animal.
I don't think they.
You say that, but you would not let me bring my dogs to work.
Lindsay and I brought Ari to work with us for like a year.
I do remember that.
I'm just saying, my dogs would be great office dog. I mean, if anyone's having like frustrations, just go get a little cuddle in.
My dogs would be
Yeah.
the worst.
Well, I remember when we worked
Dude.
out of your house and
Well,
the
'cause your
dogs
dogs
were
are
always
big
barking
and-
on phone calls, and I'm
shit
just like,
constantly.
I can't handle this shit.
Yeah, they can't have a doorbell. We have to remove the doorbells and close the blinds.
Yeah.
We could just throw the Huskies into
saying.
Corey's office and get him howling.
If we ever buy an office building,
There you
I
go.
will be bringing up my dogs.
That would be all so dope, though. And
It's
A
good.
sweet little feng shui office environment with animals.
It's good.
They would just chill in my office in their little bring little dog beds.
Once in a while, we got
some
to have someone
iguanas.
come in and be like, hey, just because since we'll be nose blind at that point, it's like, hey, just this office doesn't smell like dog, does it? Just wanted to get an outside opinion.
It's not like they'll be taking poops in the office.
No, but you know how sometimes there's
No.
like that
That's
strong.
y'all's dogs. my
Yeah, my
dogs don't
dogs
do
drop
that.
loafs.
I had a friend-
absolute loafs.
I did have a friend one time. It's like I went to his house and it was like it smelled like cat pee and dog, and he was so used to it, he just didn't know.
You hanging out with Corey again?
No, I mean
That's not right. How did he not know? When you come from the outside and then walk into your house, you can smell
I'm
like
telling you.
if the trash wasn't taken
Well,
out.
no,
like,
I
you're
mean,
like, something ain't
sure,
right.
but like, yeah, trash is different. But like when you're used to your house smelling, it's the same thing with people's cars. Like, you ever gone to someone's car? It's like a real strong, like, yep, this is your car. I can smell it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of a sense you get,
Yeah.
right? And it's just some people just don't know. And you know, if we get a new office building, Corey's gonna bring his cat in. You know what I'm saying?
No, dude. Oh my gosh. Dude, I feel like you got to put in a certain amount of hours a week. And then your animals are allowed.
New qualification.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. You can bring half of your cat in.
Pick up the other half from China Walk.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. No. So.
So gambling.
Yeah. So back to gambling. That's what. But the other part of what you said I think is important is the outside perception of Christians, right? And I hope there's a lot of non-Christians that listen to this podcast, right? And just kind of like,
And go deep into the archive.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
By the time
yeah.
they see this.
By the time they see this, yes, go
Dabble
into the
a
gambling.
little bit.
EP3.
Yeah.
I'll try to come up with somewhat provocative titles for these, right?
You're doing great.
Yeah, well, tried to.
Provocative titles? What was the last one?
I think it was like cursing and some other random shit. I think I called it that.
Literally that.
That,
Shit.
literally that?
Literally that.
Well, with
Seriously?
the I is an exclamation point, so it's not like actually saying shit. You know,
Shh.
Really?
it's like emphasis on the sh. But I think it's important, like the perception.
Do you not believe him? Are you checking right now?
I did check, yeah.
It is. It's called that.
isn't
Isn't
It
it?
is, yeah. I don't know
So
why I didn't believe him.
so yeah. I also the one we were talking about today, the New Testament thing. I want one that's called "Was Jesus the First Communist?" I want people to hate it so
Certainly
much.
not the first, but
Yeah.
there had to have been a few before him.
Did Jesus promote communism? I don't know, whatever it is. But yeah, I think the perception needs
Our commie
needs
Lord and
to.
Savior.
I think Christians need to do a better job of changing the perception, and that's like not necessarily like living an unapologetic life, but just really just telling people like, hey, I don't claim to be perfect, right? And a lot of that has to do with, like I was saying in the last podcast, like people who live over righteous lives, you would argue, and elevate themselves to where they're not relatable to other people. Then that creates a perception of the people that Christians need to be perfect. And this is not the case. Like Christ accepts you how you are and whatever. And it's just, we screw up. We're human. Right. And just, that's the problem. It's just like, you're not recognizing common humanity with other people. That's the bottom line. And that goes with people that would identify as religious and people that aren't, it's like, we're all humans. And just because, we claim there's a spiritual impact on our lives, it doesn't mean that the next day we're just living perfect and we're not going to do anything that pisses you off, right? It's just, that's a perception needs to change. And hopefully hopefully we can start to understand that, like, it was just gambling and all these other things. It's like, it's just that it's as long as it's not a vice, like there's nothing really wrong with it. I mean, it's just it's just, to this point there's just been a lot of
If we
people
lived in Vegas, would it be a vice?
I think we'd probably do it less. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny. Like when you get a pool, it's like you swim and it's like you have a less of a desire to swim in a pool. Like it's
Yeah.
weird, right? The closer you are to it, like the less you want to do it. What were you saying, Justin? You want to say something?
I was.
Sorry about that. Yeah. No, I was just,
It's gone.
yeah, it's gone now.
He's thinking about living in Vegas.
If it's meant to come back, yeah, she'll come back.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at an hour anyway. So,
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
okay.
Bam!
He's got it.
Wrap it up here.
Bonus.
So, with the concept of like the perception, because that's part of the challenge for me, kind of in my personal journey with all the spirituality stuff, is I felt like it was hard for me to really do it well and do it right, and then also like the weight of the responsibility that you carry for like other people's souls, right? It's like not only do you have to get it right and live this kind of way, which is not easy to begin with in today's culture, but on top of that, now it's like other people's souls are also your responsibility, Great Commission, all that stuff. And so and honestly, my views, and I'm probably going to say a lot of things that contradict like other things that I've said, because like right now I just am kind of just approaching it open-minded, and I hope that my views change, and I hope that I never get to a point where like I'm not willing to listen to another viewpoint because I'm right, and like no one else can be right. And so like for the perception thing and like thinking about like optics and what other people see and like think, I think I cared so much about that for so much of my life that now I feel like the pendulum swung, and I'm just like, I don't care if I come on this podcast and say a bunch of stuff that's going to really concern a lot of people. Like, it's like at this point, I don't know. Like you're scared to offend, and not that I want to offend, but it's almost like, I don't know, where's that balance of like, you never want to live your life based off other people's opinions.
Well, I mean, that's
But
too. I think
the
everyone
Christian
everyone
life
needs to be
requires
open.
you.
Yeah, everyone
Like
needs
you
to
need
be,
people to have a good opinion of you as a Christian because you're trying to reach them, right? So it's like that was part of the struggle for me. It was like, I don't even know what I'm trying to figure this out for me.
Yeah.
And
People think people's opinions on the outside don't matter, and that is just, I won't say it, but yeah, that's
Malarkey.
garbage. Yes, malarkey.
in the words of Biden,
Yeah.
It's a moment.
Yeah, horse shh. But yeah, I mean, I totally get. You need to be open. You need to be willing to change your mind on things, especially when, as Christians, if you need to be able to change your mind on things that don't affect your salvation, and quit acting like that they do.
dinosaurs.
I mean, it's just and be open, right? And openness is not like
EP4.
yeah, and openness is not
They got a whole they make whole promotional materials to help people hey, we think this is where dinosaurs could have fit into the scriptures. Because there's people that are just I don't know. There's not a lot of them.
Are the bones real?
Yeah, there's who planted those bones?
Planted the bones. Yeah, people years ago with 3D printers.
Egyptians.
Yeah, because we'll do it in another episode, but the young Earth stuff. All this stuff
Well,
where you
it's
try to do it so literally.
Yeah, you tell someone it's being open to someone's opinion does not mean sitting there scoffing at them. Because that's the way Christians tend to view other people's opinions. You could say, yeah, I believe in the Big Bang, whatever, and then someone be like, okay, it's just and they do that for their own comfort because they don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
And they think that if they have to choose, they think they have to choose one over another. And that's another thing we want to tackle and let people know that you don't have to choose. You can believe in both things. And, they're not, yeah. So we've talked about that before. But
Well, it's just how much energy do you want to put into arguing about that over helping somebody just get on a basic level about the scripture?
yeah.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly my point. Who cares about a lot of that stuff? Who cares? We're just open to be creative and have creative thoughts about that stuff because there's not enough guidance in the Bible to tell us that, oh yeah, this for sure happened, this for sure didn't happen. A lot of it is story format. So it's very detailed about the important stuff, and then some of the other stuff is open to interpretation, which is fine.
Who knows? Before man, it could have been God was the God of the monkeys.
Who knows?
And then God was like, hey, this will be fun.
Planet of the Apes, dude.
I know,
It really happened.
but I'm just saying it. Then there's
They'll
some
never figure it out.
there are some people
Hiding in plain sight.
There's some people their face would turn white and they stare you down if they heard you say that. It's just you can't. And that's the kind of perception we're trying to get people out of with this podcast. So, yeah. Again, everyone, thanks for joining. Hopefully you found this informative, somewhat or thought-provoking, entertaining, or what have you. It's a little bit of a trudge, but we'll get better at this, let it flow a little more, maybe a little bit more scripted in the future. But appreciate you watching, listening. We'll see you next time.
See you, Luke.
Bye.